I was very self-centered, a selfish person. I was mean-spirited. I was all about myself. I can remember actually being numb to everything around me. I didn't care about anything but me. No one or nothing made a difference to me. We'd go to church, but yet we'd go home and everything was different. So by the time I was in my early teens, I had stopped going to church for many years. I had, for years, dealt with depression, anxiety, and I had panic attacks a lot, to the point that I was hyperventilating, that sort of thing. There was a point where I knew I needed some help with that, and I was on medication for quite a while. I was able to get off the medication and didn't even realize it, but for years after that, I was self-medicating with alcohol, and I would get really frustrated and very angry. I had anger issues for many years, and I met my wife. We were married, have 2 daughters. A friend of my wife's told her about Deep Creek Community Church. 2012, just before Easter. What got my attention was Bruce LaPierre. I hadn't seen him in years, and he was a greeter at the doors. From the very beginning, he was telling me about this group called Iron Men at the church. Honestly, I thought that guys don't do Bible studies. They don't sit around and talk about what's on their minds, what issues they have in their lives. So I just didn't say much about it, just continued to come to the church. Where I was with my job, spiritually, I had made some bad decisions, and I did things that hurt my wife and my daughters, and I knew that I had to change. During one of the services that I was talking with God, I had heard that you just give it all to God. And at that point, I just said, if you want all this mess that I'm in, I will gladly give it to you. At that time, it was Rally Week of 2012. Bruce had been after me for about a year to join Ironmen, and immediately after the service, I went out and signed up for Ironmen and started coming to the Thursday night meetings. One day, I'd go down to Fort Myers, and I'd take Bronco Road, which is a dirt road between Vermont Road and Washington Loop. On the way back, I noticed a turtle going the same direction we were, and normally I wouldn't pay any attention to it, but I just slowed down to take a look at it. I rolled down my window, immediately I stopped the pickup, and I told Lori to take a look because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. On the shell of this turtle, it had, in black letters, it had Jim on the shell, and we were in the middle of nowhere. I remember I texted my sister. I let her know what happened, showed her the picture, and she said, someone's trying to tell you something. And this was early on in my beginning my spiritual growth, and I do believe it was a way of God communicating with me to start following Him. And just through the church, the Ironman classes started out in a small office. There were about 8 or 9 of us. Those were the guys that I really connected with right away. And we did the Book of James study. And it was shortly after that where I started, whenever I felt the pressure or the frustration really getting to me, I would step back from the counter and just take a deep breath and say a prayer. The depression, the having to self-medicate, and that it's just gone. After I gave myself to the Lord, and it's more specifically after I was baptized, I remember when I came out of the water, it was just like everything was lifted off of me. It was just gone. I was new, refreshed. I think my heart condition, a heart change, is the biggest change for me. Being able to, rather than focusing on myself, I now realize that nothing's about me. It's not about me at all. It's about all the people around me, my family, God, that I now have a relationship with. And to me, God comes first, and then it's my family. I don't focus on myself anymore, or at least I try not to. There are occasions, but It's a constant day-by-day thing that we go through, but I do know that with God's help, you can overcome anything. From where I was and where I am now, I know that I couldn't have done this on my own. I couldn't have. I'm Jim Raynor, and my backstory would still be my story if it weren't for the awesome love of Jesus Christ.